All right, welcome guys. My name is Sassy Gorilla, and I'm going to do my first ever YouTube video and build series. So I hope that you guys enjoy. We're going to start off with an alpine themed coaster, and while this video is a little crazy because it was my first one, I definitely learned a lot, and I hope that you guys will hang in there with me and enjoy the build. So let's go ahead and get started right away. I don't want to delay anymore. I'm ready to do this. So to get started, we kind of just started laying out some basic landscaping or terrain, and just to kind of give the body some shape. And what I'm doing today is I'm building a mine train. So the mine train, in my opinion, is super unique because it is a coaster that kind of stays close to the ground and kind of weaves in between the hills and the valleys and in between the rocks and all the scenery of the coaster. Whereas your normal like still coaster that you see in most theme parks, it kind of goes way up high, and it doesn't really rely on the theme or the scenery as much, unless it is a themed coaster such as like the Batman at Six Flags, or something like the Mummy at Universal Studios. But yeah, I wanted to go ahead and kind of recreate this look with the mine train and do kind of my take on it. I did kind of take some inspiration from one of my favorite Planet Coaster builders, Silverette, on YouTube. So thank you so much for the inspiration on this. I am not nearly as good as him, but I strive to be, and I want to be at some point. So yeah, I think you'll see a lot of the same elements here as in his Jagerhorn series, which I think is absolutely beautiful, and I'm just deeply inspired by that build. So I wanted to kind of take that approach into this Alpine Park. And speaking of Alpine Park, this is a build series, so we're going to start off with the basic kind of layout of the coaster, which I admit took me way longer than I actually wanted it to. I think that I was not as familiar with the tools as I wanted to be. And I struggled in some of the areas in terms of building the actual coaster. Coaster building isn't something that I normally do, so I don't know. I wish that I would have spent a little more time before I actually recorded this, just kind of getting to know the tools a little better, and it definitely would have cut down on the length of the video. And yeah, back to my original point. This build series, this first video is super long, and it's not only long, but it's very confusing. Because I'm moving around a whole lot, trying to get this coaster formed and doing a lot of terrain tools. But it will be a full build series of this park and all the kind of alpine features that go into it. And we want to create something truly unique and stunning and just kind of beautiful. I'm not going for size here. I just want quality. I want something that really stands out and shines. So yeah, we're going to spend a lot of time on each unique little feature, and I'm going to kind of take you guys along with me on that journey and kind of show you what we come up with. With that being said, I didn't want to kind of like build the park in the background and then kind of show you guys different elements of it. I wanted you guys to truly see the experience as I build it. So the first thing I built in this park is this coaster, and then the second thing I built was actually some information booths at the front, which I've actually already recorded and edited that whole entire video. So episode 2 of this build series is already ready at this point, which is awesome. I thought that I thought that it would be easier to edit in sequence, but it turns out that this first video was a real doozy. I ran into so many issues. I think I probably spent about 15 hours trying to get this to work with all of the snafus and just the problems that I had. So I do hope that you guys really do enjoy it, and I hope that my work kind of pays off there. But if not, you know, I did learn a lot from it, and I enjoy doing it. And like I said, it's my first YouTube video, and it's my first time using programs such as Premiere Pro or Kdenlive, and I wanted to kind of take the time and really explore those programs, as well as Planet Coaster, and getting to kind of know my style as a builder. So yeah, what I'm doing here, let's kind of talk about the coaster for a minute. So with the Mine Train coaster, I always feel like when you see them, you see a lot of random track kind of going back and forth and interweaving with each other, and you don't really know when you're riding the coaster where the train's going to go, which track it's going to use. It kind of leaves a lot to surprise, and I love that about these coasters. So kind of under the bridge that you were seeing before, I definitely tried to implement that by kind of having the tracks pass by each other a lot and kind of have them looping in different directions, so that when a guest is on the coaster, or a rider is on the coaster, or when you're on the coaster, you don't really know which track you're going to be taking, or which path it's going to lead you down. So I thought that was truly unique. It does, you know, you use the entire track. I'm not one of those builders that's like, here's a random piece of track here just for kind of display. I guess I don't necessarily mind that. I think that's a very kind of clever feature that people add in. But I'm not that creative yet, so yeah, I hope to be one day. So yeah, here we are, just kind of terraforming some more, adding in some more hills and some banks, and just trying to make the overall layout of the ground look a little more realistic. I think that the terrain tool in this game could, I think it's a wonderful tool. I think it's amazing. And you can really create some unique styles with it. But when you use it kind of makes everything look a little oblong. And so you have to really pull that size down and kind of go in and do the micro details, which you'll see I'm kind of doing here, and kind of just rounding out the edges of the coaster, and just, yeah, kind of, you know, making it just look realistic instead of a bunch of weird hills that look like they belong in like Whoville or something. So yeah, I'll spend quite a bit of time terraforming in this video. I will admit I sped those parts up to about 750%, because when you go into that smallest brush size to really kind of form out the details, it does take some time. So if you ever see the camera like really speed up, that's what's happening. And if you see me doing a lot of terraforming, you'll probably notice like it's going really, really fast. I apologize for that. If you're, you know, for some reason watching this in VR, make sure you hold on to something during those points, because it gets really shaky, and you would probably fall over. So yeah, make sure you're either sitting down or you're holding on to something. I don't know why you would watch this in VR, but you do you, boo. We do not, you know, shame. No shame. So I'm just kind of rounding out the corners. I really spent a lot of time doing this, kind of making everything flow. You can see like there's some kind of peak hills that would cause a little too much negative g-force, that, you know, would cause the whole train to wreck. So I had to kind of smooth those out and round out the edges just a little bit, work on my banking, just make everything nice and smooth. I think that this really adds to the realism of coaster in Planet Coaster. It's easy to end a coaster and have like these really sharp edges, or really sharp hills. So yeah, if you're building a coaster, really spend some time on the kind of fine details of it. There's also a tool that automatically smooths everything for you. It works really well. For the most part, sometimes not so much. So when you just kind of check over everything, use it, and then kind of check back over everything, and yeah, and I think that it's a great tool. But anyways, so here I actually turned on the coaster collision setting, which makes it to where you can pass through terrain and landscaping. So I wanted to kind of implement this so that I could have that look of the coaster truly being on the ground instead of it being lifted on support the whole time. So you can see kind of in the main lift there, it's all kind of hollowed out into the ground. I think this also kind of adds a sense of kind of history to the overall mountain, because it kind of looks like that track has been there so long that it's kind of just like burrowed itself into the rock, and just kind of helps wither away the rocks for, some time. So I don't know, maybe I'm just kind of being way too creative there, but I wanted to, I don't know, kind of implement that as well. So working on the bridge now a little bit, or the path that leads up to it. This path gave me a lot of problems, and I actually deleted a lot of the footage I'll be completely 100% honest. I deleted quite a bit of footage on this bridge building because it was quite the pain. It seems like it was going to be such an easy task, and like I said, building coasters isn't something that I normally do a whole lot, but I really wanted to kind of go through and build every single thing in this park by hand. So this was a unique challenge for me, and I thought, okay, a bridge will be super simple to build. I was completely wrong. Again, like, I don't do this all the time, so I think now that I have done it for the first time, I could easily recreate it again, because it really, in hindsight, wasn't that difficult to do. It just took me some time to figure out exactly the tools that I needed to use to accomplish it. Which, I'll give you a hint, is a lot of copying and kind of maneuvering the aspects of the bridge to straighten it out around the coaster, and also being very careful about your board placement, which you see here. I am going to speed this up to about 750% as well, so it gets pretty fast there. Yeah. And I apologize if it gets shaky, and you would think like this was going pretty quickly. It wasn't, not even a little bit. I really spent some time trying to get all of this perfectly straight, really tighten up those edges, make sure I didn't have any boards like sticking out in random spots. I also, like, halfway through doing the bridge, I checked, and I noticed, oh crap, it's going completely sideways. So, and yeah, I'm about to do that here in just a second. And yeah, but what I did was I actually took the bridge and I just rotated the whole thing, and it actually worked out splendid. So, pro tip, if you are building a bridge and you can't seem to line it up, don't worry, just build your bridge as straight as you can. Or if it's a curved bridge, you can do that as well. And then just take the whole building and rotate it. Don't overthink it. And I think that's exactly what was happening. Even though I build buildings all the time and I rotate entire sections to fit into something, for some reason, when I was combining the terrain with the bridge, my brain just didn't really line up there. So I don't know. Like I said, it took me way longer than it should have to build this overall very simple coaster build. So I do apologize. This video is just way longer than I actually wanted it to be. So yeah, I'm very sorry. My goal is to keep my videos 30 minutes or less, for this build series at least, because I feel like, after 30 minutes you really start to be like, okay, can we just finish this? And on top of that, like, in this particular build, I didn't really do that much. It was a lot of coaster placement and this like hollowing out of the ground and just making everything look like a real coaster would. And then I designed the front and the bridge and the front side of it. I put some landscaping in just to make it look really nice. This is where I rotate the bridge. I think actually it may not be. Okay, so I was actually trying a different approach here. I was like, okay, let me line these up using brick walls, and then I'll delete the brick walls underneath it. And that actually worked really well. It helped me keep everything straight in terms of the boards, just to make sure that they were like perfectly lined up. And then I was able to delete the brick walls and then rotate the bridge. And that actually was a really good plan, and I'll probably use that in the future just to help make sure everything stays completely straight there. With that being said, I did get lazy on doing those boards because at that point, like I said, I deleted some of the footage from this. I had placed those boards probably about 6 times before I settled on anything. So I got a little lazy, and on that point, they were a little jagged, and I hate to say that, and I hate seeing it. The perfectionist in me is really beating me up right now, but it is what it is. and it's over and done with. Thank God. So, yeah, moving forward, we're just adding some body to the bridge now. I added in these little balcony pieces balcony floors rather, just to add some overall body, make the bridge look a little bit more thick, a little bit more supported, and yeah, overall just more realistic. I had to kind of edit these in, tighten up the edges just a little bit, which, you know, is pretty common there, but yeah, overall, I think it definitely added a much needed aspect to the bridge. And that's not all I did. That's just kind of the beginning of it. And yeah, I think it definitely added a sense of realism to the bridge. And again, I'm not a bridge architect, like, at all. I have no idea what goes into building a bridge or the physics behind how a bridge holds itself up or anything. So perks to those people that do that, but I'm not. And so if you look at this bridge and you're like, there's no way that bridge would hold itself up, then, you know, that's just something you're going to have to cope with on your own. But yeah, I did my best, and I really do hope that you guys liked it. So I'm using these pillars here to add a little bit more body to it, just adding some more layers and just making it look overall a little bit more tight, and yeah, yeah, a little cleaner, I guess, on the edges. I think this was actually a really good idea, because any of those jagged edges that stuck out were completely covered up by this, and it made the work that I had done on the boards a lot less noticeable. The lazy work that I had done on the boards a lot less noticeable. So I think it worked overall pretty nicely. So at this point, I think I go ahead and just kind of touch up any last little things on the bridge that were bothering me, and then I think I move on and throw in the pillars there. With the pillars, I struggled to kind of figure out exactly what I wanted. Yeah, there's the pillars now. I struggled to figure out exactly what I wanted, so you actually see me leave these and come back to them later, I think, unless I kind of edited the footage so that it was more sequenced. But I did struggle to kind of figure out exactly how I wanted these to look. But overall, I think that I accomplished a look that I was happy with, and something that I think can be reused in many parks. So I will make sure that this bridge is uploaded to the workshop for you guys, and I'll post the link in the description below so that you can use this and kind of see exactly what I did. You can see it here, but honestly, I think that the way that I did it is actually very clever, and I actually end up using in the second episode as well. And it's, I don't know, I think you'll really like it, and I hope that you you can appreciate it as much as I did. So here we're using some very basic wood little railings to add just a little bit of flair to the top of the bridge. I just painted them brown and copied and pasted them over, and yeah, I think that it looks really nice. I honestly do. So here I am adding some more bridge supports. I wasn't crazy about this look by itself. I liked the way that it added that sense of realism to the bridge, of having that extra support underneath it, but it wasn't enough for me. I definitely had to add something else to add more body to the bridge and just a little more flair. So I thought about adding like a whole arch, kind of like the bridges the bridges, the train bridges, or anything you see in Harry Potter, those kind of European style bridges. But I decided against that because the look wasn't really the way that I wanted it to be, and excuse me, and I went with something different, which I'll get to here shortly. I had to kind of step away from that for a moment just to kind of think about it for a minute while I worked on the rest of the bridge. So I added these facade pieces around the stone pillars, just again to add more body, another layer. Adding more layers to a building kind of keeps it from looking so flat and, like, you know, just boring. So I wanted to add just kind of as much as I could to make it look really nice. So moving forward, we just kind of touch up some you know, basic things, tightening up the edges of those there. Excuse me, I had to get some water. I have like a little bit of a sore throat this morning, so I'm having to drink a lot of water while I record this. Again, I I think yesterday I spent a lot of time kind of excuse me, doing voiceovers and editing, and I spent over 15 hours on the computer just yesterday doing work on these videos. So I definitely feel like my body is not happy with me right now, and that's something I'm going to have to work on this afternoon. I'm going to have to take some time away from the computer and really kind of get out in the world and enjoy myself and enjoy some sunshine. And yeah, because I've been in front of this computer for way too long working on these things. So I'm adding in some arches now. This was kind of my second go at adding in the support for the bridge. I think it turned out really nicely, and I ended up removing those altogether. And instead of using those supports, I added in these beams that are kind of vertical to the main support system there. And I wanted to do them a little like more, I guess. I wanted to lower the bridge, not the bridge, but the support. I wanted to lower it down and then take that and do like a sun flare of the vertical beams across there. But then I was like, you know what? I kind of like this look that I have going on. I think it looks a little more simple. And so I ended up just kind of sticking with what it was instead of re-editing it. Also, I'll be completely honest. Again, not a coaster builder. I'm more of a like building builder. So this was, I was quite over building this bridge by this point. I will not, step away from that fact. But I think in the future builds, you'll definitely see, like in some of my like episode 2, you'll see how much I really enjoy building actual buildings and scenery elements and doing landscaping. You'll see a lot of landscaping at the end of this video. And well, actually coming up here shortly, right after we finish this bridge, you'll start seeing some really cool landscaping features and just kind of some unique takes on things. So yeah, I was over the bridge, but I guess it's better to be over a bridge than under a bridge, right? So also, I do apologize. I have cats, and it is in the morning, and we all just woke up, and they are very, very rambunctious. So if you hear them in the background, I do apologize. That's just kind of the life of being a cat dad, and yeah, so whoops. Anyways, let's go ahead and finish up this bridge. I think at this point, I'm going to go ahead and finish the arches out. I think that the way that I did this looked really, really cool. Oh, you know what? Actually, I didn't. I attempted to add some flair using these gingerbread icings. I did not like them at all. First, they're not symmetrical. They don't look exactly perfect. They're actually icing, so it didn't work for me. And then I tried kind of these little S's, and I was going to try to kind of hook them together to add just a little bit of America. I don't know how to explain that, but I decided against it. It looked horrible, and it wasn't the right look for this build. But I did definitely need something on the edges of those to kind of make them look a little better. So originally I tried this look, which I feel really dumb for. I'm not going to lie. I should have just used a very basic pillar to accomplish the same look, or even the wooden beams I could have probably stacked together easier than what I did there. But I didn't. I don't know why. And I used these instead. But I ended up thinking like, okay, well, that was super dumb. Like, let's rotate those out and make them look the way that they're supposed to look. And so I ended up coming back to those later and doing that. So if you're wondering why I'm doing that, me too. I'm right there with you. So, but yeah, I did go back and fix it, and it looks tremendously better after. Like, I don't think it looks bad there, especially with the kind of gray stone, but it definitely looks better afterwards. So, yeah, I really do hope that you guys are enjoying this. I I have never really done a YouTube series or a build like this before. I've always wanted to. I do a lot of builds with things like The Sims, and I've always loved building things and kind of designing elements of within these types of games, especially like The Sims. I love doing realistic homes and like cluttering things and just kind of doing the whole design aspect. So I don't really play The Sims, and I somebody actually put it quite perfectly to me. Sims is basically like virtual Barbies, and like I don't know, that's not something that I really enjoy doing, but the building aspect of the game is absolutely phenomenal, and I love it. And I would love to invest in the rest of those just to kind of enjoy the rest of what The Sims 4 has come up with. So here I am doing some landscaping. Landscaping is one of my favorite things to do in this game. I spend a lot of time rocking hills and putting in bushes and trees, and I absolutely love it. I think that the way that they have set up the trees and rocks for use in this game is amazing. The way that you can kind of stack them together, flip them upside down, and use them in unique ways is just really, really cool. For example, the bushes that I put right at the entrance of the bridge, I actually took a note from Silverette and flipped those upside down to kind of use the darker side of those bushes. I think it looks really, really good. And it adds variation in the color. A lot of because the way that the bushes are programmed, the light is hitting them from the top, which makes sense. The sun comes from the top. So the bottoms are programmed to be shadows. So if you flip them over, you actually have darker bushes. Even though they're not darker, they're just shadows. But nobody knows that. We don't know that unless you're, like me, and you do know that. But either way. So here we are fixing these finally. I think you'll agree it looks so much better flipped over. It adds a lot of character to the wall, and just overall makes it a lot, more, I don't know, visually pleasing, I suppose. I think it does anyways. And I don't know. I think overall the bridge turned out really good. I'm glad that it's over. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed designing the bridge, but actually laying the foundation for the bridge was horrible. It seemed like such a task that I never want to do ever again. But I definitely will be doing it again because I want to get better at building these types of bridges and kind of finding unique ways to implement buildings into coasters rather than just having, one big station for the coaster. I want to kind of implement these types of systems into the rides. I think that is kind of my challenge at this point because I can build stations okay, but as far as having a ride kind of interact with your scenery and your buildings, I think that that's a unique skill in itself. Like you can build coasters and you can build scenery or you can build buildings, but can you make those things interact and make them interact in a way that seems realistic? Like that is, I feel like that is kind of a unique skill. So here is the thing I was talking about with the pillars. I ended up using the same little well piece. I think that's called a well. And I ended up flipping it upside down and using it as a base as well as the top. I thought it kind of flowed well there. And you can see, like, I just removed that pillar that I had inside because it just wasn't really working. But and then I took these little beams and kind of pulled them across, and then I just copied and pasted that straight over. I thought it looked so good, I was like, let's do it twice. And so yeah, I ended up just moving that look straight across. When I did copy and paste it, it didn't exactly do right for some reason. I don't know why. Again, the bridge just, it was really a beast, and every little thing that I thought would be simple just wasn't. So again, I'm glad it's over. Anyways, speaking of it being over, let's move on. We are now doing a catwalk on one of the main kind of turns of the coaster. And I call this kind of the main turn because it faces the entrance of the park. And it also is going to be right in front of kind of our entrance plaza. Well, at least the back of the entrance plaza. So I wanted it to be truly beautiful. I wanted it to be unique, and I wanted it to stand out. So, and at the same time, I didn't want it to cover up the hills and the bridge behind it. So I wanted to keep it real low down to the ground, but also add quite a bit of flair and beauty to it. So I ended up creating a catwalk around it, which is a pretty simple process. I did a lot better on this. Like, believe it or not, I actually did not cut any footage from this at all. So the catwalk actually turned out really, really well, I think, and I think I got it pretty good on my first go. So yeah, we laid down some support beams first. I chose a kind of green color to kind of differentiate them. You don't see them very much, but I think the green did add a certain kind of variation in the color scheme that's going on there. So I think it worked out really well. I did kind of make these look a little jagged. I didn't want them exactly straight. So you'll see me as I'm placing the stairs, I'm kind of, or the planks, I'm kind of creating stairs to go up or down depending on where the next plank is or depending on where the coaster is. So yeah, I think it's a pretty unique way to add some just some variation in it. There I am kind of lowering these and kind of creating that little ramp up. I'm going to go ahead and lower that one a little bit, and then I'll kind of sink it back down just a little bit to match the sides of the coaster. This process is sped up quite a bit. If you do try to recreate this catwalk or any catwalk, plan for it to take some time. Be patient with it. Be patient with yourself because you are going to have to do a lot of fine tuning on it. It doesn't just kind of pop together right away at first. You have to go back and maneuver things around quite a bit, but overall, it's not a hard process to do. You can kind of see how I'm just kind of copying all of those or selecting all of those and just scooting them in a little bit, and then just kind of, yeah, going around and slowly piecing it together. Definitely take your time with it. If you rush it, you see here, I try to like copy and paste. I don't think this was the best way for me to do this. I think that it turned out okay in the end, but I think it would have looked a lot better if I had done them individually. So yeah, here I am kind of adding variation again. If you do copy and paste, definitely try to add some variation in it. I feel like if you lose a lot of texture when you do too much copying and pasting. So definitely kind of go back and tune things up, tighten things up, make it look really nice and realistic. So here I had to adjust these beams. Like I said, you have to move things around quite a bit. I wanted these pillars to kind of sit on top of these beams, so I ended up having to move them all and kind of realign them with the coaster and the way that the coaster planks are going. Also, I think that's a good tip to have. You can kind of figure out which way your planks or your support beams need to go based on the way the planks of the coaster are going. Well, I guess if you use a mine train or a wooden coaster, then I guess you can do that. Otherwise, it might be a little difficult. But yeah, overall, this little section, the catwalk, I think turned out really cool looking. Here I'm putting in the final stairs, and then we move forward to doing some kind of landscaping. I didn't want to just kind of end the catwalk there. In a theme park, you can't really get lost. You don't really walk anywhere by accident. So I wanted to kind of take that bit of knowledge there and make sure that this catwalk didn't just end into some, random area. Like they're not just going to like walk under the bridge and drown or something. So I ended up putting these bushes that kind of curved around and adding in some dirt to kind of create a path for them. And this section actually ends right back at the entrance plaza. And you'll see kind of how that works out in the second episode. But yeah, I think that was kind of just a way to add a little bit of realism to the coaster. And I do want more catwalks on this coaster. Again, this is only the front part of it, and I think that in the back section we'll add some more catwalks. But I'm not sure exactly when the rest of the coaster build will be, because we do have to kind of create the park and see what actually needs to be back there. And yeah, so I'm not exactly 100% sure what I need to do. I know that I want to add some kind of scene development back there, but at the same time, I don't know if there's going to be streets back there or not. So I want to see if I need to build actual buildings or if I need to actually build scene elements. So that's the landscaping I came up with on the kind of the center of the catwalk there. I think overall it turned out really nicely and really beautiful. I tried my best to kind of get some color in there by using the pink flowers as well as the yellow ones, and kind of just adding some difference in shape, and just trying to just kind of spice it up a little bit. So I apologize for the camera movement there. I do that a lot when I'm building coasters, which I again don't often do, but I feel like one of the reasons I don't do coasters a lot is because there's so much just body of the coaster to cover. There's so much terrain to cover. There's so much scenery to develop. There's so much landscaping that has to be done. And so I spend a lot of time kind of flipping back and forth trying to figure out what the next section is I need to work on, or what section I want to work on, or what parts inspire me during that moment. So that's, I tried to clip out some of those parts where I'm just moving the camera around wildly. But it definitely happens a lot. And I tried to make it to where this video kind of works in sequence and just kind of moves from one part to the next. So yeah, the next thing we're going to work on is adding some support beams to the mountain. I wanted to kind of recreate this, or create this look that the mountain had previously had supports, or that there had previously been kind of a tunnel there that had collapsed. So I ended up putting these support beams in, and then beneath all of that I put plants and lots of rocks, and I think it turned out kind of a cool look. But yeah, we're gonna spice up this pillar here with some more beams to kind of bring that color into that little support column there. I wanted to have the wood featured in there as well. So that it's not finished yet. I still have to put the top on it, but I got ADD and started with like planting more rocks. So yeah, there we go. Now I'm finishing it up. I kind of square off the top there, make it look a little better, a little neater. And overall, I think it turned out pretty nicely. And yeah, it was very simple. I actually tried to add a second catwalk up there during this video, and I was like, no, this video is already way too long. Let me go ahead and skip to something else that's a little easier, and we will yeah, we'll do that at another time, another place, another time, another day. And yeah, I definitely, like I said, I want more catwalks in here. And again, this is kind of the same feature that I was talking about. I wanted it to kind of look like there was a tunnel here before, and then the tunnel collapsed. And so here's all the rocks that have kind of fallen down with this tunnel. And yeah, I think that scenery is so much more meaningful and impactful when it has kind of a story. So every little thing that I build, I always kind of recreate these scenes, or create these scenes, I create these stories rather, and play out these scenes in my head, so that, I don't know, it kind of adds a little bit of realism to it. So we're finishing up here. We're almost done, guys. I, again, definitely appreciate you guys hanging out with me and kind of walking through this coaster build. And I do hope that you enjoyed it, and that you like and subscribe and come back for episode 2. But we're basically just going to finish out this coaster build with or this front half of coaster build with some basic landscaping, and I'm going to do one more little section just to add some beauty to the front side of that mountain, not that one, but the one over kind of by the catwalk, And yeah, and I think honestly, overall, it turned out quite beautiful. I really, really do. And yeah, again, I hope that you guys enjoyed hanging out with me today and kind of watching my creative process. And if you did enjoy this, you can actually watch me live on Twitch. I am on twitch.tv/sassy_gorilla, and I stream several times a week. I'm not always consistent with my schedule, and I apologize for that, but I have to do real life stuff too, so unfortunately. But yeah, again, we're just finishing up with some basic landscaping, and I think overall the coaster turned out just absolutely amazing. Well, the front side anyways, I think it looks very realistic, and yeah. And this is kind of the landscaping piece. This is the final piece of the park that I had here. And I wanted to kind of tie that catwalk in with the bridge, and this kind of area kind of curves up to it. So I wanted to kind of make sure that this part looks just as beautiful as the catwalk, to really tie those two pieces together, the bridge and the catwalk. So yeah, this was kind of my little take on that. And I used the same fencing from the catwalk, but I sunk it a little lower so as to not hide anything. And then I actually put in some like dirt there to create a little path. And then I actually used some rocks to make little stepping stones in the dirt there. So yeah. All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and let's just take one last look. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.